What is good, all you lovely folks out there in internet land? Welcome and thank you once again for joining us on the virtual couch that we all share when we play and talk about all things video games. We are the Split Screen Cynics, and we're back again to bring you another episode of video game goodness, news, hot takes, and all the other stuff we talk about in between while talking about the news and hot takes and all the goodness. I am 1/3 of your hosting trio. And my name, as always, is Berto, and I am joined by my two awesome co-hosts, Garrett and Tim. Garrett, how are you doing on this chilly-ass Monday evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I didn't have to go outside too much, so that was nice. I basically spent all weekend. My friend from college came to visit with his girlfriend. I dropped him off at the airport this morning, so pretty good. I was sad to see him go, but all good so far. How you been, Berto? You doing okay?
I've been doing all right. Not too bad. Also, like yourself, tried not to go out too much because it is cold out there. And as a Latin person, I don't do well with the cold. My people were bred for the heat. Tried not to go out as much. Tim, how about you? Are you freezing over there as well?
Yeah, it's like the coldest day in a long time. But gotta make do. I'm tired. I'm wiped, but I'm ready to talk about video games.
Hell yeah. Like I mentioned, we're the Split Screen Cynics, and as always, you can find us on all your podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. We're going to be on some other one that I just got an email about that we can finally be on. I forgot what it was, but we're going to be on that soon. So listen to the next episode to find out what that one is. Some other housekeeping stuff to get out of the way. As of right now, it's getting close to the end of January, which means that PAX East is almost right around the corner. It's about 2 months away, and the Split Screen Cynics will be making an appearance at PAX East. So look out for us there. We're going to be doing some recordings from everything we see on the show floor. So check us out if you're there. Say hi to us if you see us there. If not, stay tuned in for our report from PAX East, because it is going to be awesome as always.
Yeah. Oh, another housekeeping thing. I always forget to do this. If you are listening, you might be part of the Split Screen Cynics Game Club. We have our next Game Club game picked out probably for 2 podcasts from now. So we're giving you about a month to try it out. It is going to be Resident Evil 2 HD Remaster, or whatever it's called. I think it's called Remaster. But yeah, Resident Evil 2, about 2 podcasts from now, we'll be talking about it. So that is Game Club game number 3, just so you know.
Hell yeah, we're going to be playing some Resident Evil. So join us for that. Like Garrett said, in about 2 episodes, we're going to be talking about that. So send us all your comments, what you thought about it. Interact with us. We want to hear what you guys got to say. With that out of the way, how about we jump into talking about some video games? Garrett, what you been playing, man?
So this week, obviously, we all hopefully played Gris.
I like that. There you go. I like you rolled your R's. I loved it.
I tried really hard.
It.
So obviously we've all been playing that. I did play a lot of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Breeze for Switch. Again, my friend Eric was visiting. He brought it with him. We were co-oping through it. I think we did like 4 or 5 worlds out of maybe 6 or 7, so didn't quite finish it. But I had played the one for, I believe it was on the Wii, was the original Donkey Kong Country Returns. That's a weird thing to say. And I remember like 100%ing that game, so I had a lot of fun kind of revisiting the formula. I actually purchased it on Wii U, like on sale, and I think I just never got around to playing it, so it was fun to finally play it. Just a fun little co-op game. It actually has some like really unique kind of music and gameplay things.
Oh my!
Are my cats going nuts? I hear Marnie behind me.
This is an audio format, so you guys are obviously not seeing this, but we're obviously looking at each other via webcams. And Garrett's cat is in his cat tree in the back, and he's just doing this thing where he goes into the top of the cat tree and just like tumbles to the very bottom.
She likes to like flip out. She's going nuts, but she likes to do like a front flip out of it.
That's exactly what she was doing. She was like, and just flipped out to the bottom. And I'm like, oh my God, is she okay? And she just keeps going back up and doing it. I'm sorry. I totally derailed the podcast. Garrett, go back to what you were talking
No worries.
about.
So yeah, Tropical Breeze, definitely a fun game to play. again, the Switch is just such a good system for stuff like that. Like I literally got this Mario Deluxe U, which I criticized Nintendo for putting this out last game. The Switch is so much fun because like all these games just play so well on it, and having it portable, it's kind of worth it to replay even games that you already own. Tim, what have you been playing?
As earlier stated, I'm not gonna disgrace you guys by attempting, but I've been playing Gris as well. Got through that. I played a little bit of Hollow Knight. Got started on that, enjoying that, and other than that, just been doing the Counter-Strike grind because the season started last week, so it's become like my second job. If you guys have played World of Warcraft and you've gotten onto a rating schedule, it's like that, but it's even worse.
And there's a lot more negativity usually involved.
You feel way worse about yourself while you're doing it. So it's basically like I get home from work, I get a quick nap in, and then I play Counter-Strike until I go to bed. So even fitting Gris into my video game schedule was a challenge, but I fortunately managed to complete it on time. But that's it for me. What about you, Berto?
Well, like you guys, because I didn't want to be left out of the fold, I've also been playing Gris. And aside from that, I tried the Resident Evil 2 one-shot demo. They released this demo last Friday, I believe, as the time of this recording. And it was, like the name implies, it is a one-shot demo. From the time you start playing the game, you'll have a 30-minute timer where you get to pretty much check out the game. It starts you off at the Raccoon City Police Department, and whether or not you complete the demo or you just spend your time just running around or looking at the environment and how amazing it looks, and it's completely remastered format. Once that 30-minute timer hits, that's it. You're done. You can't play the game anymore. And I actually tried to run through it as quickly as I could, and then it ended, and it did not feel like 30 minutes. Even my wife was like, that was not 30 minutes. You just started playing that. I'm like, I know, right? I should play another 30 minutes.
Yeah. Wasn't there like a workaround found that you can?
I mean,
yeah,
I think it's like if you get like something with the Japanese account, if you create a second account, you could. There was definitely a workaround for it, and I know that even on PC, there's also a workaround because people even started speed running the one-shot demo. Surprise, surprise from the PC community. But that game just looks so good. It was just like a taste of what RE2 is in the remastered version, and I want more of it. So I think it releases on Friday.
I think it's 25th, I believe.
Is it 25th? So is this Friday the 25th?
Or 20,
yes, Friday.
It's like 3 days-ish, because I just purchased it on Steam, and it was like, do you want to install it? I was like, sure. And it said no.
Yeah,
it's like, no.
So by the time you hear this, it'll be about 3 days until the release, and it can't get here any quicker because I just want to play that game. It looks so good. It looks so beautiful. There were definitely times where I'm walking through the hallways where everything's dark, where in the original it wasn't dark, and you have Leon like walking around with a flashlight, and I'm like on pins and needles waiting for something to jump out at me. I'm totally on board. Super hyped for Resident Evil 2. It was fucking awesome, and apparently I think this was the same demo that people played at E3. And if that's the case, I can see why this won Best of Show at E3.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Oh, yeah. So fucking good. Now, I'm glad that I got to play it. I wish I would have played it at E3, but at least I got to play it before the release. So I'm totally on board.
What
Give me
system
more
are you getting
RE2.
that for, Berto? I heard some rumors about you in PC gaming, maybe.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I finally took the plunge. Not because I didn't want to take the plunge previously, but because I didn't have the funds available to me. But through a gracious, fortuitous occurrence at work that came with a monetary bonus, my wife and I, we took the plunge, and we're getting a gaming PC. We ordered the parts, and we have a custom gaming rig that hopefully by the end of the week will be fully built and up and running. So I'm finally going to join the PC Master Race.
Dude, welcome
Nice.
to it. That should be
About
good.
time.
and then we can all get Monster Hunter for it and play that together. So,
It's like, what'd you guys play? Just Monster Hunter. But
Just
don't you
more
already
Monster
have
Hunter.
that? Yeah, but now I have it on PC.
See, that's
But I just got a Switch. We have to get it on that.
there is like the weird. Well, it's a remake of the 3DS game. I don't know.
It's like
That's the
Monster
beauty
Hunter
of,
X Rondo of Blood
Whatever.
Yeah.
version 5.
The beauty of owning multiple systems is you just get to buy the game for several systems for some
That is
reason.
very true. It's like not Allison, you hear that? You can play Skyrim on PC now.
So I have powers to play engagement mod.
You can also get the Macho Man rod. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, I'm super excited. Finally going to get a gaming PC, and one of the reasons I'm really super hyped for that is because I can finally jump into the Epic Game Store because I want to try Hades, even though it's an early access. I want to try that.
That's something that's been I've certainly been interested in, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. I also wanted to say, like, did any of you guys catch any of the awesome games done quick stuff that was going on? I don't think I meant to shout it out last time on our podcast because it was like during that. But if you haven't watched it, like, go check it out. There's the VODs are on Twitch. There's actually a really dope Hollow Knight run. That's why I got reminded by you, Tim, from Hollow Knight. But I think they raised $2.4 million for what is that?
It's a paltry sum when
Or
compared to our $1,000 raise.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't nearly as good as what we did, I guess. But
I mean, how quickly do they speed run Super Mario 64? I want to know that.
I bet you it was longer than 45 minutes.
I don't know if there was a Mario 64 speed run, so technically we won in that category this year, I guess.
We
World
did it with
record.
3 people, all right?
Yeah,
So,
we ate a whole pizza during it.
yeah.
2 slices. Right. But yeah, skipping that, let's take a look at our cynical spin. We get some news going.
Let us go right into the cynical spin. Boom. And Garrett, you want to introduce this first one? This is one that you were interested in talking about.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I saw this, again, this is a little over a week ago. I think it was about 10 days back or so. Basically, Bungie announced that they are no longer going to be, because I believe the publishing rights were owned by Activision or were given to Activision or something like that. But Bungie announced that they are splitting from Blizzard and Activision. As you know, Destiny 2 was actually launched via the what is now called the Blizzard launcher. I think it used to be called Battle.net launcher. But yeah, Bungie basically announced that they are no longer going to be partnered in any way, shape, or form. Which is weird because the PC version is still going to run through Battle.net. Which I found kind of weird that was the thing. But what do you guys think about this? I mean, this is on top of some crazy stuff happening at Activision where, you know, CEO stepped down, CFO moved up, old CEO went to Netflix, et cetera, et cetera. Like a whole weird thing. The stock is nutsos. I wouldn't recommend owning it, which I unfortunately do. But
we're not a financial podcast, but if you guys wanted to, you probably could short their stock. No, don't do that.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know what that means. I watched a few episodes of Billions though, so I'm pretty much an expert. But what do you guys think of this? This is like kind of weird news coming out. Especially because considering like Blizzard and Activision actually recently, within the past 5 years, split from Vivendi and became their own independent game company. Technically, they are an indie studio if you don't care about money or anything like that. I thought this was weird coming. Bungie just seems to keep making things, partnering with people, and then not like sticking with it or jumping ship. I know Halo, they basically kind of like ended up like I don't think they gave it away. I don't know what happened with Halo, but I know they haven't done the past couple Halo games.
I think with Halo, when Bungie split from, because Bungie used to be a Microsoft studio, and when they split from Microsoft, part of the deals of the split was that Microsoft would keep the Halo IP, and then Bungie would go off and do their own thing. Interesting.
Have either of you guys played Destiny 2 or Destiny 1 for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I played both Destinies. I didn't get into the DLC for Destiny 2, and I know that they had the like most recent DLC now. I think like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, something
came out very recently,
where it's like there was a bunch of people trying to, like, streamers and influencers trying to beat the vault nobody beat it, and they're like, all right, fine, I guess we'll unlock the vault because nobody could figure it out. That aside, this is like huge news. Activision deciding, or at least agreeing, to let Bungie just walk with the rights to Destiny is huge. I really want to know what the terms of that deal was. I want to find out what was said in that boardroom meeting, because I can't imagine that Activision would just be like, yeah, here, take Destiny, because Destiny is it's one of the most successful properties of this current gen, and the fact that Activision be willing to just let them go with it, is, considering that Activision is very interested in like the bottom line. I mean, this is great news for Bungie. They've got their independence back.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of I'm just wondering what exactly was the reason for it that Activision would just completely say, yeah, here, go ahead, take it. Is there that kind of is there that much internal like strife going on at Activision where they were just like, here, just walk away with it, take it, I don't need it anymore?
Yeah, it seems kind of weird. Tim, did you like? I have a feeling you probably have not played Destiny 2. Certainly.
I played Destiny 1 at release. Just
Okay.
like, I leveled like a character to the max level. I didn't do any of like the end game content because I don't think there was any. But either way, I think obviously anytime a company separates from its parent, it can only be a good thing, aside from when finances become a problem. But I think obviously this is great news for Bungie. But yeah, Berto, you do bring up a good point. I don't really know where Activision comes from in all this. I don't know what their angle is, but I don't know anything about the sales figures for Destiny 2 and how it's been performing, and if it's underneath what they're hoping for out of an IP, then I can see why they would just want to separate from it and move on with their, bigger, like their Blizzard shenanigans. So we'll see what happens, really.
Yeah. I kind of think it's like a weird, like, Bungie, I think their reasoning hopefully is that I do think that Destiny 2 had, like, clearly there was some sort of rush job going on there when it came out. It was very like Destiny 1 in that it didn't really have endgame content and the balance and everything was kind of wonky. So I wonder if that was from Activision pressure. I can only imagine that it was, because
I'd imagine the same thing.
That's what Activision seems to do, is put out games and then fix them later. Diablo 3, World of Warcraft, like any game that they've published basically recently. So hopefully in the future, because I think Destiny 2 actually is a good game. I think it's just it releases and it's not ready. And I think that's been the issue with those games the entire time. So hopefully in the future, whatever stuff Bungie's putting out is going to be better at launch and less pressure. I don't know what that does for their financials or anything like that, but who knows?
I mean, no, I totally agree with what you said. Destiny 2's launch didn't feel that much different than Destiny's 1 launch, in that when it came out, it felt like it still was lacking in a lot of areas, and that it's like, well, the DLC hopefully will pick up that slack. But it's like, guys, this is your second release of the same game. It shouldn't be that we have to wait for the DLC to fix what's lacking in the initial release. Like, the DLC should supplement what the initial release was like. It shouldn't be the same problems of Destiny 1 all over again. Which, again, like you mentioned, it reeks of Activision Blizzard saying, listen, guys, get the game out. We need this out right now. So hopefully this means that Bungie could now take their time to completely, like, make the game nice and polished for when Destiny 3 comes out. It'll be a very polished release, and that the DLC will do what it's meant to do and supplement the initial release of the game, and not sort of patch in what should have been there on the initial release. So, hoping that that's what it does for them, and hopefully that now that they're independent from Activision, that they're not going to be beholden to these corporate overlords, because Lord knows Activision doesn't have a sterling reputation when it comes to things like that. transitioning from corporate overlords over to, I guess, more corporate overlords.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going
which is
on.
not really not really a transition, but corporate overlords of a different flavor. This is a news item that I threw on there. Division 2 coming to PC, but it's coming on the Epic Game Store, not on Steam. So this is an article I pulled from this is from PC Gamer, and also I got some supplementary notes from Kotaku. Ubisoft and Epic have announced that they have a semi-exclusive partnership for the PC game release for The Division 2. Ubisoft will be selling the game through the Epic Game Store as well as their own proprietary online storefront, but they will not be releasing it on Steam. And then I threw a note in here that says, suck it, Valve. My own comment, not part of the article. So big win for the Epic Game Store, and the fact that a big AAA publisher like Ubisoft is saying, you know what, we're going to take a stab at the Epic Game Store as opposed to a more established virtual storefront like Steam is huge, because now you have a viable competitor to Steam. You have like all the GOG and other smaller storefronts. I know Discord also has a storefront, but now having the muscle and the pull of a big AAA, publisher and developer like Ubisoft saying, yeah, we're going to put our games on your storefront is a huge stamp of approval and gives weight to the Epic Game Store. And not only that, but you got to think that the fact that their revenue split of 88-12, 88 going to the developer, 12 going to Epic, is probably another big reason why they're doing this versus the 70-30 split that you get when you go to Steam. This is huge news, and I'm excited to see that we actually have a viable competitor now to Steam. What do you guys think?
I kind of agree. It's not exactly a surprising move, considering AAA studios have kind of been doing this stuff for a while, where I know EA Games has Origin, and Bethesda launched their thing, so it's not wholly unexpected. Ubisoft has that stupid Uplay nonsense associated with their PC games anyway, so they sort of have already dabbled in this. I just find it strange because how does Ubisoft benefit from not selling something on Steam? But I guess you're right. When it came down to it, they just looked at the numbers on the split and said, hey, we'll make more money if we just force everyone to use either Epic or our own store. I don't like it, to be honest, just because Steam has just been so useful and so easy, and I hate all this. It seems like everything's fracturing. This is happening with Netflix and stuff, too, where it's everyone's coming out with their own video thing, and it's I think it's worse for the consumer at the end of the day, just because, having Steam as a bank of video games has always been, I think, amazing. But I can understand why they're doing it. And honestly, for smaller studios, that split means a tremendous amount to them. Something like Ubisoft, I don't really care if Ubisoft makes money or not. I don't really think they put out very good video games half the time. But it's interesting because this is a weird move to me a little bit, just because I might have gotten the Division 2 on Steam, but I probably won't get it if it's going to be the Epic Games launcher. So I don't know. We'll see. Competition's always a good thing, so it's probably at the end of the day going to be good for consumers. I just am lazy and kind of just want all my games on Steam just because. Tim, what do you think about it?
I'd almost be willing to bet that that they struck an exclusivity deal with Ubisoft in order to make this happen. Not because what you're saying, they're basically throwing away sales by not putting it on Steam.
That's what I was thinking. You're gonna lose people because of that. I think.
Do you think they're really going I'm so invested in this 18% that I'm not even gonna release it on Steam. There's that, to me, speaks of Epic Games wants to really get their service launched, and they're okay, we can use this as a springboard for it. I am in the same camp as you, as I don't like this kind of fracturing of the way these game stores work, But at the end of the day, all of them are kind of bullshit. I just use Steam the most.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice, like, if GOG was more popular and there was some more better DRM free software where you could just get the games and you don't have to worry about stupid stores and stuff. But yes, I use Steam primarily for most of my games. And I do think it's good that there's competition. I don't want Steam to just have this monopoly on it. And obviously, as somebody who has passing interest in game development, I like the fact that it benefits the developers. But it remains to be seen whether like the effect that this move will actually have on Steam's monopoly in the games marketplace.
Yeah. It's funny because in my head I was like, man, Ubisoft is so big. Like, how can Epic like afford something like this? And then I remember that Epic is making like billions and billions of dollars from Fortnite. So,
yeah. When they're not being sued by everyone.
Yeah. At the end of the day, for me, like if Epic Games does take off as this like amazing, marketplace and replaces Steam, like 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, like they're just going to be Steam. So
Yeah.
I don't really have a horse in this race in terms of like which marketplace I want to win, because whichever one gets big is going to be the juggernaut. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Let me, as members of the PC master race right now that I'm set to join, you guys have mentioned that you use Steam almost exclusively for your online purchases. Does this move the needle at all towards Epic Games at all, or are you just going to be like, yeah, I mean, it's cool, it's good for Epic, but I'm still going to go to Steam because it's just the convenience of Steam?
If I had any interest in the Division 2, I'd have a real answer, but I have no plans on getting it. So
yeah, honestly, it's because it's Ubisoft specifically. Like, I kind of think Ubisoft makes a lot of garbage games. I do have some interest in the Division 2, although most likely I'll only get it if like a friend gets it to play it with me. So I probably won't end up getting it on PC anyway. It would probably be like PS4 or Xbox.
Well, Garrett,
if you want to play with me, I'm in. But like as far as like,
I'm getting a free copy.
Yeah, like if I had the choice between Epic Game Store and Steam, I don't think I would ever choose Epic Game Store over Steam. Just because it's so convenient. I have like 800 games on Steam. Like I'm pretty committed to that environment, if you will. The only thing I could see is like if like a cool sick indie game comes out, something like the one you mentioned before, that I can't think of the name of right now. That's kind of cool because like the indie studio's getting some of its money. Although it's kind of weird again because like they'd probably make more money by selling it on Steam too. So.
Well, yeah, that's like the question. Do you want to get a smaller piece of a larger pie, or do you want to get like a bigger piece of a smaller pie? Because right now we don't know what the size of the Epic Game Store is. It's definitely smaller than Steam because Steam has been so well established for so long. So does it make sense for you to get a small slice of a pie that's like thousands and thousands of people strong, or to get like a very large slice of a pie that's maybe like hundreds of people?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is also another move towards the generation that is currently like invested in Fortnite, which I want to say is somewhat younger than where we're at, and seeing like essentially can we target them, because they're probably not as indebted to Steam. I do actually know some younger dudes who like got PCs to game with Fortnite specifically, so you're kind of hitting a different market that way, and I think as time moves on you will see like more people using the Epic Store just because that's what they know, but I don't really know if this would change my mind. I'm trying to think of a game that would make me like give up on Steam, and it's like I'll just play that one game and
if a game comes out on Steam and GOG and it's not like a multiplayer game that requires you to be on Steam or something like that, I don't know if there are games like that, but I will get it on GOG personally. Regardless, like you can even link it to your Steam if you want, but if I can avoid the DRM, if I can have an actual copy of my game, I will do that. But none of these other stores are going to offer you that. It's just more
of the same, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus those Steam trading cards. Think about it. You need those.
Oh, Steam trading cards. What's that?
When you play games, they like
You'll
give
learn one
you
day.
stupid trading cards that are worth like 8 cents or
I'll
something.
I'll learn. Hopefully next week I'll learn, because once I build my rig, I'm gonna be like online so fast and downloading
Yeah.
all the games.
The real thing is when the Steam sale hits and you're gonna have access to that. That's gonna be a nightmare.
Oh my
'Cause
god!
there
Don't
was
tell
just
me.
so many
I'm gonna be
games.
like, I'm gonna have to tell my wife and be like, Allison, we can't buy that co-op yet. I bought a shit ton of games on Steam.
The thing is, you could buy like 40 games. It'll be like $60. Like here, just take it.
Oh,
Plus humble bundles and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh my
Things are
god!
crazy.
So many more games that I can't that I'm never gonna be able to play. 'Cause
Yeah.
my backlog is gonna grow infinitely now that we have this gaming rig. I'm excited. Let us go
Epic
to
story.
our next news story, and this one I threw in there for as the youngins say, shits and giggles. Has absolutely nothing to do with gaming, really, except that there was an ancient shark discovered where the teeth of this shark was shaped like spaceships from the game Galaga. So they named this shark. Hold on, let me pull the name of it.
I think it was Galagan.
Galagadon
Galagadon.
Nordkiste.
Oh, sure.
It's a newly discovered freshwater shark that swam in the Cretaceous rivers of South Dakota some 67 million years ago. And I pulled this from a Gizmodo article, and there's a link in our show notes. And if you look for this on Gizmodo, you can find the article. There's a picture of one of the teeth from this shark, and they have it side by side with one of the spaceships from Galaga. And I mean, to me, it looks like a regular shark's tooth. You could put any shark's tooth next to this spaceship from Galaga, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But the fact that they named it after the Galaga game, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, video games.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that like someone clearly, some intern or something was like, "Hey, that looks like the ship from Galaga," and it just stuck, I guess. But it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't see the resemblance at all.
Yeah,
but
it's a triangle,
games are
basically.
cool, I guess.
Like,
I mean, and if you scroll down further in the article, there's a whole bunch of looks like other teeth. So I guess maybe the other teeth looked like the spaceships from Galaga. Maybe. But I mean, there's one that looks like a mushroom to me, and one that looks like an alien from Independence Day.
Well, you don't have a refined palate when it comes to shark teeth, so
Apparently
Yeah,
not.
we
I'm
can
not-
trust your opinion.
See, that's the thing. I work in finance for my normal 9 to 5, so clearly I'm not equipped. But apparently somebody else is, and they're like, you know what? Galagadon. There we go. Shark's name done.
And the makers of Galaga are suing them, right?
But that was our last news story, and that I threw in there because I'm like, you know what? Why not? Sharks. Fuck yeah.
It's kind of funny. Apparently, it was a retired chemist that named it, and then it was also named after her. So, good for her, I guess. But moving on, let's do segment number 3. Hope you guys have been playing Game Club. I guess this is number 2, technically. Game Club for Gris, if I pronounced that right, which I was close, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so we've all been playing this little indie game today. It's out of Nomada Studio. Sorry, Nomada Studio, little indie game, little 2D game. Let's just open up the conversation. What were your guys' like thoughts going into this game? What were your expectations? Were they met, et cetera, et cetera?
I as I do with most games, I try to find out as little information about them as possible going in when I plan to play them. And from the appearance, like the cover art and the basic vibe, I guess, that the game was giving off, I just expected a highly stylized. I guess I knew it was a puzzle platformer. It certainly is a very stylized game. I without going too into depth of the mechanics, like color is a big theme going on. It's visually stunning. I feel like it's held back a little bit by the fact that it's just a 2D side scroller, but I definitely got a lot of Journey vibes from it. I don't know if either of you felt that,
Definitely.
but that was kind of my before and after idea going into it.
Yeah.
What about you, Berto?
Same, pretty much. Like I had heard about this game from like other podcasts, video game podcasts, and other people that I follow on Twitter that are in the industry. They pretty much they were singing the praises of this game as being one of the like hidden gems of 2018 because it released so late in the year. I think it released like mid-December of 2018. So it was a game that, like, unless your ear was to the ground, very easy to miss and overlook. When I started playing the game, definitely, like you said, I got a lot of the Journey vibes because it was a very stylized, very visually appealing game. The character kind of looked to me like the character from Journey, like the traveler from Journey. I mean, it is a beautiful game. There was not like I definitely had the same vibes and the same feelings playing this game that I did when I played Journey. So it was very very beautiful. I love the artwork. I definitely think that the 2D worked for it. I don't think that it was a detriment that it was a 2D side scroller. I very much enjoyed this game, but there were definitely parts of it where I felt that if you're playing this game, like if you're playing this game for anything other than like an experience, you're going to be disappointed by this game. Like if you're playing this game and you're like, no, I want gameplay, I want something like a Mario style game where platforming and gameplay is front and center, this game is going to disappoint you because this game is not that kind of game. This game is meant for you to experience something and not it's not the gameplay that this game is meant to convey something to you through.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, that's actually going into the game I had zero idea. I basically Googled the title and image to go on Instagram with. So I had no clue. I knew it was 2D platformer just from kind of the video on Steam when you download it. But yeah, I definitely I agree with you, Berto, in that it's much more experience than gameplay focused. Yeah. And I actually was kind of expecting, I think because we did Celeste recently, and we were rolling off of that, I kind of thought it was going to be similar to Celeste and that it was going to be this crazy kind of gameplay, fast paced kind of a thing. So going into it, I was actually expecting that, and I was shocked with how opposite of that it was.
Incredibly opposite.
Yeah. Yep. I actually will, just from here on out, there's spoiler alerts. By the way, everybody, if you haven't played it,
total spoilers.
But I do actually think that the weakest part of the game for me personally was the pacing of the gameplay. I know it's a very kind of lofty, experience-driven game, and the atmosphere and the music and the visuals are all supposed to kind of tell you this story. But I was actually shocked at how not excited I was at parts during the game. There's a lot of sort of just downtime walking, especially in the beginning of the game. But throughout, there's just these weird long periods, and it's kind of showing off the design and the artwork. Because I did have a comment on Instagram from our buddy Chris, who he was on the sports podcast with us way back. And he actually his comment on Instagram was straight up, "This game is beautiful." And I did want to say, do you think that especially in indie games, that can sort of carry the game through what would otherwise, if I was reviewing this game, I would have to knock some points for gameplay purpose. Do you think the art can kind of carry a game towards greatness without necessarily needing fantastic gameplay?
This is kind of what I was referring to when I said it's hurt by the fact that it's a 2D side scroller, because the comparison to Journey, the reason why Journey to me doesn't have these problems is not because the gameplay is difficult or anything like that, but it's because the game world is just so incredible and overwhelming to look at and just wander around, and just moving in the sand just is enough. And just seeing all the things there. This game, it's much more confined, and so it falls into this trap of being a bunch of really basic flash puzzles that like anyone has played a million times.
Yeah, I kept thinking of Flash games when I was playing it. Actually, like,
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest like humps for me, like the only times I ever got stuck for a little bit was because the backgrounds, you couldn't really tell what the backgrounds were and what you can move through and what you can stand on. And the game is designed around the art. That's
Mhm.
the art is really the soul of the game, and that's fine. But it seems like the gameplay isn't even really necessary. And like you're never going to be really challenged. Like you're not going to solve a puzzle and be like, "Oh, that's cool." Like it's just not it yeah, like you said, I would have to dock several points from this if I were reviewing it, because there was no point in the game where I'm like, "Oh, like this puzzle like is clever." It's more just like I've seen this before, every aspect of it.
No, I totally agree with you there, but I think that the fact that its puzzles are not meant to be sort of taxing actually works for the style of game that this is. This game, like I mentioned before, is meant to be sort of an experience, and you can tell by the way that the art immediately gets you in the beginning and the music starts playing. This isn't. It tells you immediately this isn't a game that you're going to wrestle with to try and figure out these puzzles. These puzzles are going to be pretty simple in the grand scheme of things, but like you're meant to take something away from it. Like I was playing, like I actually finished the game just today, because this is one of those games where you kind of have to sit down and play it, and like this isn't a game that you can play like on the subway. I'd been trying to play this game on my way to and from work, and I just couldn't get into it because you really need to give yourself up to this game completely. So you need to sit down like when you're at home and have like an hour or two to just play through it. Because if you're in like on the subway and you're like, oh, I got to play for like 40 minutes and they get off, it just doesn't work that way.
That's actually a good point, because I actually did play the game today as well. I actually went back and replayed a lot of the earlier levels. Once I was sort of done with the game, it kind of gave me a different perspective on the story and stuff. But I do like, I think you are right, Berto. I think the idea was kind of like, listen, we're not looking to really challenge people. We're not looking to kind of block people with gameplay.
Yeah.
We really just want them to flow through the game. And I do think the gameplay is well designed in that aspect. Part of it though was a lot of the great little mechanical things, like when you get new abilities and the mechanics that open up, seem fantastic, and I just wish they were fleshed out a little bit more. Were there any mechanics that you guys really enjoyed? I loved the kind of the last level, the upside down kind of mechanic.
Yeah,
I loved playing with that.
I really enjoyed that.
I got Mega Man 5 vibes from that with Gravity Man's level. And like I kept seeing it and being like, man, I can't wait till they incorporate like the block into this, and you have to like fast fall in order to pop out the other side. And like it never really seemed to go anywhere with that.
Yeah,
similarly,
no, I agree. I would have loved to have seen that built out a little bit more. But then when I looked at that from that angle, I took a step back and said, but would that have compromised what the developer was trying to get at? If they wanted, I mean, I could see them developing something where they do the upside down and the change in gravity and incorporating the block mechanics, so that you have to do like jump through and then turn into a block and then knock something up. They could have easily have done that, but would that have undermined what they were trying to do? Because those puzzles where you had to reverse the gravity and like jump from one area to the next and then like reach a ledge on the like upside down world, they were very basic. It was pretty simple to do. It was like, oh, I missed it the first time, but you get it the second time. So it's not like it was that challenging. So I think for them, it was more a means to an end. It wasn't like something to really tax your brain to try and figure out. Like you could figure it out pretty simply. And it was sort of very simple to encounter, because they wanted you to get through that, because they wanted you to get to the next area,
No, I understand. It makes sense to me. I do also think that the music in the game is extremely excellent, and sort of builds towards what you're getting at, Berto, which is like the music and the visuals are really what you should be listening to and paying attention to, and the game itself is not meant to hinder you. Tim, as a music guy, did you enjoy the music? Did you like it, or?
I did. I thought that each theme that came up was very nice. It felt a little bit like, oh, this is kind of what I'd expect out of a game like this. Like, again, very very Journey vibes from it.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely can't fault them in that area. I mean, this game is definitely a style over substance, development, and it would be it would certainly hinder the game if they didn't bring the audio out in full force. But I think another thing that bothered me about the game was how it kind of took control away from you at a lot of points, and it fits all into like the themes that you were talking about, Berto, where it's trying to just guide you from, like, you're not supposed to get stuck. But there were so many times where, like, I would let go of the joystick and be like, oh, I'm not even controlling. Like, and especially, I think the most frustrating part to me was the part where you're being pursued by I don't know what the name for it is, but I guess the antagonist of the game. And you can, like, angle yourself a little bit for this long chase sequence. And it's like, I understand, but why would you even give, like I just felt so, like, stupid. I was like, okay, like, let's watch this play out.
At that point, it's like all cinematic. It's like, I can, go up slightly or down slightly, but it doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think during the eel sequence, I was sort of like, well, am I swimming or am I not? And, like, I think you're doing both. Like, it's like a weird thing.
Yeah, it just takes the drama out of what, is one of the most, I guess, exciting scenes of the game.
Yeah.
And it just I think giving a little bit more agency and a little bit more control to the player would certainly have invested me more in it. But I completely understand why they went the direction they did with it. And if they went too far in the direction that I'm talking about, it probably wouldn't have worked for the game at all. But I just wish they could have found a little bit more of a happy medium.
What was your guys' favorite level and or mechanic? Because basically there's about, I believe, 4 or 5 levels depending on how you look at it, and every level kind of followed the same basic, like, you unlock an ability by collecting the little stars, and then you kind of use the ability to almost escape the level after painting it whatever color. Did you guys have a favorite level or mechanic that you unlocked?
My favorite mechanic was definitely just the swimming.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy, but it was the only time in the game where I felt like I had some sort of speed, and I really, like, because you do, like, the first half of the level and you're just floating at the top of the water and it's really slow, and then you get this swim ability that really, I mean, it's programmed very well. Like, it feels very nice to get, like, a dash
especially
in the water.
when you jump from water to water, I think felt amazing.
I
would say that's definitely my favorite mechanic / part of the game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was about to say, like, the second you started talking about what was your favorite mechanic, like, the swimming mechanic immediately came to mind. Not only did it feel like what Tim mentioned, where it's like, now I have, like, complete control going any which way that I want to go, but when they opened up the, quote unquote puzzles, because the puzzles were never really that taxing to begin with, but when they had the puzzles that you had to jump from, body of water to body of water and, like, build a momentum, or, you had to shoot out of the water.
Vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you had to shoot out of the water and then, like, oh, here's some, red butterfly things. And then from there you have to shoot up in the sky. It felt really cool.
Yeah, I think part of that, again, is just that is the part of the game. Tim kind of hit it on the head, where you have this speed and you have this ability as a player, where actually when you leave that level, you're kind of like, oh no, like you miss it a little bit. Although there is more water later. I actually loved the design of what I want to call the first big level, but probably the second level technically. But it was basically a bunch of, like, kind of windy, kind of like mechanisms in the desert.
Oh, is that where you had to, like, turn into the block?
It's where you unlock the block, but I just
Yeah.
loved the design of it. Like,
Mhm.
as far as just like how it felt, like it was a cool desert idea. A lot of video games have a desert level, and I was like, oh, Journey, like whatever. But then when you're up in the kind of the clouds with those weird windmill machines, like I actually loved the feel of that, which was interesting because that was one of the least colorful levels. I think that's where you first unlock red.
Yeah.
And it's mostly black and white because the game kind of just gets more and more gorgeous as the colors unlock. Mechanics wise, I did really like, and I don't think they really fleshed it out. But the mechanic where basically you would light up things and then that thing would disappear as time went on. I got really excited for that mechanic, and then they didn't really do much with it. But like, had they fleshed that out, I think it would have been awesome to play with.
Yeah.
Climbing something and then having to time it disappearing with.
Yeah.
There was one specific puzzle where you had to time the disappearing part.
Yeah. I think the fact that they introduced that mechanic so late in the game definitely did not help. I agree with you. That was a very fun mechanic where, when you see those, like the red butterfly things that, shoot you up into the sky, and then all of a sudden you see like the gold ones, you're like, oh, wait, I know what these are. And then you jump on one of those and it shoots you up in the sky. And then you see those platforms that you just talked about, that they appear, but then they slowly start fading away as time goes on.
Yeah.
I agree that would have been a fun mechanic if they introduced that either earlier on, or if there was more with that later on.
Yeah. Honestly, like I would love to see, this is a weird thing, but when I was playing the game, I kind of had this thought like, man, if they do like a sequel and just build on all these mechanics, or just like a Metroidvania style version of this game where like the colors slowly unlock the map in ways that like,
would be dope.
because I did love that, like as you got color, the same area on the quote unquote map changed because of the colors. Like, growing trees, once you unlock green, like you get trees everywhere and you could climb with those. I actually thought like the art design, it surprised me that it didn't end up being a Metroidvania just from that simple concept, like works perfectly for me. Cause instead of doing keys or, Samus unlocking doors with beams, it's like, as you fill in the world with color, you kind of progress through it.
New areas, that would be, that's
a Metroid,
mechanic,
a Metroidvania does not fit this game. And part of the reason is because of the story of the game. It's kind of open to interpretation. I actually think I clicked into the story because I unlocked an achievement at one point.
I had the same experience.
Is it at the very end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I replayed the game, and then I actually unlocked another one of those achievements, and I was like, got it. I do think kind of throughout you have an idea of the story. I don't know if one of you guys wants to take it away and say what you thought the story was.
So based on what the last thing that I unlocked, because there was like two other things that I unlocked before that. It looks like it's like the stages of grieving.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and at the very end, when I unlocked the one at the end where you see it's like it looks like a tomb, and then you do the sing mechanic, and it's like acceptance. So I was like, okay. At first, when I came to the game, I thought that it was a game about dealing with like, depression or something of that effect. But then when I got that unlock, I'm like, oh no, wait, it looks like, was I wrong this entire time? Is this about dealing with, like a loss of some kind? So that's when it kind of turned what I thought on its head.
Yeah, I spoke about this during the Celeste thing, and while grief and depression are two different things, they're often related, and the way they can be portrayed as a theme in a video game is usually in a similar way. But to Gris's credit, I think it did a way better job of approaching grief isn't necessarily mental health, but it, like I said, it's a similar category. And the fact that the whole game, I'm not thinking this is grief, this is grief, this is grief. And it wasn't until the very end where I was just like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. I get it.
It's kind of like a light switch turns on.
Because the subtlety was way better in grief.
Yeah. I was the same way where I kind of thought it was like, because, she loses her voice or whatever. And I was like, okay, like maybe like, she doesn't believe in herself anymore or something like that. At the end, I did kind of think it's like her mom died is what I thought. I don't know if you guys got that vibe, but like with the whole statue and then her mom sings to her when she has her voice back, and it's basically her coming to accept like her mom's gone, but she can remember her. That's what I personally thought. I don't know if that's 100% the story. But you are right. Unlocking one of those achievements, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I actually unlocked one in the fish level, and that's what tipped me off. And then the acceptance and final chapter was that.
Yeah.
And then the antagonist to me was like essentially depression or just, sadness.
Right.
So I do agree with you, Tim. I think it was a lot more subtle. It was a lot more beautiful in the way it handled the topic than Celeste, for instance, because Celeste was sort of in your face with it.
Yeah, I mean, there are two vastly different storytelling strategies.
Yeah.
But even so, I think this was just like this shined way more in terms of how to tell a story about something dark and something intrinsic that's part of who you are as a person.
Yeah. And I think that's really what makes the game so good, is that very few games, I think, handle serious topics in subtle enough ways. And Celeste was another, like, when we played through it, I was like, okay, it's cool, but like it's not well done exactly. Like, it's kind of goofy. I mean, that game was just cool as a game though. But Gris is like just the music and the emotion you feel from it is something I would liken to Journey. Journey being one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know if it's on the same level of Journey as it is for me personally, but it definitely like hits those notes in a beautiful way.
Oh no, I'm with you. I definitely got the Journey vibes, and this game is beautiful in its own right. I don't want to compare it to Journey because they're two vastly different games, but I think Journey for me worked a lot. It worked a lot better in what it was trying to convey than this game did. I do like Journey a little bit more than Gris, which isn't to say that Gris isn't a bad game. Is a bad game. It's a beautiful game. I definitely enjoyed my time with it, and like when I really sat down and played the game as opposed to like sitting on the subway, because again, I think this is a game you really have to like completely give yourself to, put your headphones on, because if you're playing this game on a loud subway, you're not going to get the full effect. You really need to listen to the music and completely just give yourself to the game. It's a completely different feeling, and it is a really good experience, and it really is. It's such a fun game. It is an experience, but I mean, I personally like Journey a little bit better.
Yeah.
I would agree. I honestly like I'd say if the ending wasn't executed so well, I would have had a much more negative review of the game, because for the majority of the game, I was like, I just got to get through this. Like, I didn't even really want to play it. Like, I could appreciate like the nice, the aesthetics of it were amazing, but it just was so slow, and I didn't feel like I was playing a game, and it really isn't what I am looking for in a game right now. But the way the ending worked, and the way the fact that it didn't throw in your face like the whole theme of the game until the very end. And maybe if I had been more diligent and collected all the weird little circle things and had unlocked more of the, I guess they're called challenges, then I would have seen it coming earlier, and it may have changed my my opinion of the game. But by the end of the game, I was just like, let's get this over with.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, again, the water level I think was a big help, because it's like sort of smack dab in the middle. It kind of gets you a little going. I did think the last level was pretty good too, but you are right, Tim. Like, the ending really saves the game. I wanted to mention a thing that I really loved about the game, and it's sort of gameplay. It's just something you don't see a lot in video games. How zoomed out the camera is at points is really unique to the game, I think. And I actually did appreciate that a lot. Like, I enjoyed how small of a character you were in this, like, pretty amazing background in most parts. And I kind of like that idea in 2D side scrollers, where normally you're pretty zoomed in. Your character takes up a big part of the screen, and it's all about close action and stuff. So I did really like that part of the game, and I think that helped with the openness and the space.
As someone who appreciates video game art, like you said, when you're playing a side scroller, you're sort of zoomed in just on your character, and you're not focused on anything. Excuse me, on anything outside of your like immediate frame. When they get to those sections where it zooms out and it shows you like the entire room that you're in, and you can appreciate and take in the incredible amount of work that was put in to create that space. And also, like when you're doing that, you can start looking around and being like, all right, where do I have to go from here? What areas can I explore? But for me personally, the one thing that I focused on was like, oh my God, like this is such a huge space, and it's so well done, and it was so amazingly crafted. It was something that I otherwise would not have paid attention to had they not zoomed the camera out. So it really gave me an appreciation to the work that everyone put in.
Yeah. And that was like, I don't think that works in every game, like every 2D platformer, but that was something I really appreciated throughout. And I thought was well designed as far as getting not only emotionally feeling kind of small in a large area, but just getting the art across, and the artwork is really incredible. There's also a little beautiful part. This part, we're kind of coming towards the end here, so I figured we could just throw random stuff out. In the beginning cutscene, there's the little cutscene art is really interesting, where it kind of shifts between this like hyper realistic look to like she has little stick figure arms and stuff. But there's like a few frames where I swear it's like straight from Studio Ghibli, and it's a like a midway, like it's not super zoomed in on her face, but it's not like she's a little tiny character, and she has the stick arms, but her face is pretty detailed, and just the way the hair moved, like I just felt like a pure Studio Ghibli theme. I actually wonder if they were inspired by Studio Ghibli as far as like the little forest critters and stuff kind of reminded me of some of the Princess Mononoke kind of spirits and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. Did you guys have any little tidbits as far as just little things that you liked or didn't like about the game?
I never felt like after like the first couple levels, I never felt any real desire to seek out the optional stuff. Like it had, I mean, I complained about this in Celeste, but it's like it's really annoying when you can't really tell where the correct way to go is, so you can go the other way and get the optional stuff.
Right.
And that happened to me a couple times, and I'm just like, you lost me. Like,
yeah,
it takes way too long to walk all the way back there. I'm not going.
That specifically was something I had an issue with, because there was one point in the game where I went what I thought was the wrong way to find secrets, and it was like a 45-second walk.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is the right way. Let me go back and see if there's secrets. And then like another minute went by, and then it was just a wall. And I was like, oh, like why wouldn't they just put the wall where you land?
But see, that's a problem with you guys as completionists. I think that's a strength in the game, where it doesn't exactly telegraph, where it's like, hey, here's the way that you have to go, and here's the way that you shouldn't go if you want to like explore the secrets. I think that's a strength in the game, that it doesn't exactly telegraph where you have to go, because it's like, here's super obvious, don't go this way if you don't want to, advance the story.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I don't know. Again, it's just like you move so slow, and at some points you're just like, man, I just want to finish. Like, I just don't want to be in this level anymore. And I was compelled to get the bonus things, and I don't know why. I didn't actually get all of them, but I got a lot of them. And usually because like occasionally it was behind a clever puzzle or something, so it was worth it. Although I don't know, like I did read, I didn't watch it or anything. Apparently, if you get all of them, there is like a secret ending or something. I just don't know if it's enough for me to want to. And even having replayed some of the game, which again, the beginning of the game is very slow. It was a little rough for me to replay it. So like, I don't think I'll actually 100% it. But I did hear there's a secret ending. If you do
might YouTube
them.
it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do that, to be honest. Even the first, so I found another one of those achievements on my little replay, and it's right in the beginning of the game. When you first drop into the desert, you can walk, but she kind of falls over a few times. Yeah. If you head left, there's stairs blocking you. It's like, all right, like, so left is not the way to go. And then when you go right, eventually they give you like full control where you can jump and stuff. So she's not walking slow. And if you go left, you could jump over the little stair, and it's there's a statue, and she cries or something. And I was like, well, that's annoying because like I went left first, and it was really slow, and I couldn't go that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think for a first game, like I mean, the ratings are dynamite for this game. So hopefully we got better stuff coming out of Nomada Studios in the future. I just think it would have benefited from a little bit more gameplay, maybe, without hopefully interrupting the flow of things, like you said, Berto. Well, I'll give this game 4 sniffles out of 5.
4 sniffles out of 5. All right.
I don't know. I just made something up. We don't need to actually.
I like that 4 sniffles out of 5. Tim, what do you give it?
I don't subscribe to the sniffles rating system. I don't like numbers and sniffles, but I mean, it's really hard for me to give an unbiased kind of take on it because it's really just not what I was hoping it would be, and I can't fault it for what it is because it wasn't trying to be what I wanted it to be. I'm getting confusing now, but
I understand.
But it's for what it is. It's a great experience, but I don't think I'll be recommending it to many people. With we keep bringing up Journey. With Journey, it's like I could sit almost anyone down, from whether they're a gamer or not, and be like, "I'll play this. Like, you'll have a great time," and they would, and I would too, just watching them do it. I definitely could not see myself doing that with this game. I don't know if that's a fair comparison to make, but it's the closest one I can. So
fair point. To your point, I think that this is a game that it's like a subset of people who love Journey that will love this game.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like if you love Journey, some of you will love this game, others maybe not, because it's a very specific tailor-made game. Having said that, I did enjoy my time with this game, even though I love Journey a little bit more. So I will give it I'll give it 4.5 huepas out of 5.
Yeah, I was actually trying to just make up a nonsense scale, and I realized I just gave it like a rating. Because for Celeste, I was like, oh, should we like give it a number? And we were like, no. So I said like 800 strawberries out of, or 101 strawberries out of whatever.
That's fine. We're gonna give it. It's gonna be a thing with the game club where every game is gonna get a different rating every time.
But yeah, I think part of our issue is also because we were specifically playing this game on the clock. Might have added to it, because like as a game to just kind of sit and experience on a rainy day, I think would be a lot better than a game where you're like, we're trying to take a critical look at it, and we were like, okay, I have to play this game by this time. So I think that might have affected it a little bit.
Oh no, that absolutely did. But even with that, I was like, I with all the vibe, like I was definitely getting all the Journey vibes, and as much as I enjoyed this game, I was like, I kind of enjoyed Journey a little bit more.
Yeah. I did one last thing. What did you guys think about the game length? Because I know game length is like a weird topic for like a lot of people. Like, oh my god, it's only this much time, like instant fail or something. I actually love how short this game was.
Any longer would have been a detriment to the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think like this was the perfect length for this style of game. If it was any longer, it would have felt like a slog, but I think this was like the sweet spot for this type of game.
Yeah,
I think I would have honestly enjoyed it more if it was shorter and it wasn't that long. So I don't want to say, it's a bad game, I wanted to get it over with, but like it really felt slow at times, and for such a short game, like that's a weird kind of thing to say.
Some of those slow sections, if they were filled out a little bit more with gameplay, I think that would have benefited a lot. Like definitely. The end, like water level on. Although the end of the water level I thought was kind of tiring, but
the theme of the game works with the slowness. But
it does 100%.
That's a game development kind of conundrum right there. It's like, do you want the game play to suffer for the theme that you're going for? And it's I think they chose to let it happen a little bit, but I think that I would have enjoyed the game more if those sections were cleaned up a bit.
But I honestly love like short short games are awesome sometimes. Like
Yeah,
I just love that you can like play it in a day. My friend Chris, who I mentioned earlier, literally like I announced the Game Club game, and the next day I was at Growlers, and he was like, "Dude, that game was dope!" Like he like instantly finished it basically. So I think it's really cool. I think it was cool for him too because he basically said he had never played a game like that. Like as a guy who is somewhat new to video games, like experiencing this weird artwork kind of focused like emotion.
He's got to
game.
play Journey next.
Yeah, I actually told him, I was like, dude, like, because I talk to people about Journey, because I tell them like if I had to recommend one video game to any person on the planet, it would be Journey. And they're like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you're like in the desert. You just kind of jump around, but like it's more about the experience and stuff. And everyone's like, that sounds dumb. And I'm like, no, like don't
wait,
like,
just wait.
Yeah. So like it's kind of a funny thing, like coming from a guy who hasn't experienced as many video games as we have. Like he was blown away by the artistry of it. And I do think it's a good game as far as showing like how interesting the medium can be. Like it's not all just, you know, GTA like, and stuff.
If I'm trying to show someone like how video games can be art, and they're like, oh, like video games are just a mindless thing, and I'm like, no, video games can be art. I show them Journey, I show them Flower, I show them Gris, I show them what else am I thinking? Like Abzu, like all these video games that look that they're like amazing experiential things, and I'm like, this is art. This is not just gameplay. This is also art.
Yeah. And
I showed
just
Fortnite.
It's like you want to see a money making machine.
Yeah.
Really good music in Fortnite.
Hey, don't knock on Fortnite. Actually, you should.
You want to see the best flossing this side of the Mason-Dixon line? What does that even mean?
But yeah, even like my wife today was walking by. She's like, "Wow, that game looks so pretty." Like, I love when video games can kind of show people a different side of things. So
yeah,
it gets a bonus points for that. Any other thoughts, ideas, anything?
I enjoyed my time with this game. I'm glad that I sat down in a good chunk today instead of trying to play it on the subway. This is a game you need to give yourself to. Don't be like, oh, I'll play this in between bouts of X, Y, and Z. Like, no, give yourself like a good 1-2 hours that you know you have free. Sit down and play this game. That's when you'll best experience what this game has to offer.
No, I fully agree. If I wasn't split for time between work and Counter-Strike, so
work and other work,
in to little like as little time as possible, I would have probably enjoyed the game a lot more. But don't get it if you're trying to get an action game or anything like that.
Yeah, Celeste is a rough one to come off of, to be honest. So that is going to wrap up Split Screen Cynics Game Club number 2, Gris. Check it out. That's our thoughts. Please get at us still, even though the podcast's over. Come at us, talk, comment. What do you think we thought about it, etc. The next Game Club game is going to be Resident Evil 2 Remaster. That should be in about a month, 2 podcasts from now. So 4 Tuesdays from now, which is about a month usually. So check that out certainly too if you want something which will probably be a little more faster paced than
a little bit
Gris.
more actiony.
But who knows? We got a good spectrum of video games going on now. Check us out on Instagram, Split Screen Cynics. We have 2 E's missing. SplitScreenCynics.com is our website. Berto, you want to hit them with the Twitter and stuff?
Yeah, you can check us out on Twitter at Split Screen Cynics also. SCRN is how you spell screen. So check us out there. We'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. What did you think of Gris? Get at us with your comments, your takes. And also, are you excited for RE2? Because we are. So
yeah, I'll probably be streaming that. Twitch.tv/Garrett gets into.
Hell yeah.
I'll probably end up streaming that game a bit. Tim, what do you got?
If you want to follow my ESEA team, our name is Gamer Girls Guys. We're the guys division of the Gamer Girls.
Fair.
That sounds so confusing.
We're 2-0, all downhill from here. So,
ESCEA?
ESEA.
ESEA.
You'd have to go into this. I don't have the link.
I'm going to look it up because I'm going to like write on your guys' thing or something. So yeah, that's about it. This is episode.
Send me the link. I'll tweet it out on the
We'll
on
blast
our
it.
Twitter account.
We'll blast.
It's embarrassing.
I think this is episode 18, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's it.
Episode 18. We're getting close to that episode 20, guys.
20's coming up. Actually, episode 20 would be Resident Evil HD. So
It would
play
be.
that game.
So, guys,
Again, at us.
Resident Evil HD, get at us. Episode 20. You want to be part of history? Send us your questions.
It's gonna be scary, maybe.
Oh,
Thank
super
you
scary.
so much for listening. Again, thank you to specifically Chris for shouting out to us talking about the game. Yeah, whatever. Episode 18. That's it. Keep on gaming. Bye.
Take it easy, guys. Peace.